Over the last few weeks, since the start and release of The Last of Us Season 2, the number one thing that has been really bothering me regarding the discourse around the show is how many people are just fundamentally misunderstanding the character of Ellie. So I figured today I'd talk about it while you guys watch my gameplay of the final mission of The Last of Us 2. And in order to understand why I believe that everyone is misunderstanding Ellie, the character, and what she's all about, the first thing I actually have to bring up before I get into the TV show is the way she functions in the game and how she really works as a character in said game. Here is the thing with Ellie's story in The Last of Us 2 specifically. The Last of Us 2 is a fun game that has a really great story with Ellie, but the number one problem is the gameplay does not match up with the story that they are trying to tell. Let me explain. So as you can see from the gameplay that I have here on screen, or if you've just played the game or seen any gameplay of it, you would know that when you're playing as Ellie, you absolutely mow through people. You feel like John Wick, assuming you are playing it on the recommended mode, which is moderate. That is the mode that is recommended for everyone who starts The Last of Us 2. You feel like you're John Wick. You feel like you're unstoppable. There's no one that can stop you. You just run through people. You kill everyone in sight. You tear through Seattle, you and Tommy together. And what this does is create a level of misunderstanding with the player as to how Ellie functions as a character. So the core themes of The Last of Us 2 is this idea of revenge and the cycle of violence, and how always wanting revenge just carries the cycle forward, and at the end of the day, war is bad and no one's happy. But here is the thing, and this right on screen is actually a great example of this. Ellie in The Last of Us 2 and the character in general is in way over her head. And I am of the belief that the only true deaths that are meant to be super potent and matter to the player are the ones that we receive in the cutscenes. That being Jordan, Mel's, Owen, and Nora's. All of those deaths are the ones that we are supposed to pay attention to, and this all leads up to the death of Abby. In every single cutscene that we get with Ellie, even the smaller ones with just some side characters that are part of Abby's crew in WLF, we are presented with a character who, one, does not want to go through with killing these people. At the start of every single interaction, Ellie always offers them a way out, and she's always trying to give them a chance to escape. She only ends up killing these characters due to the reaction that these people are having. Now, I am not saying that the members of WLF and Abby's team do not have a right to protect themselves when someone is pointing a gun in their face, but regardless of that fact, the line of logic that Ellie is reacting to something that they are reacting to stays in line with the story. Basically what happens is Ellie walks in, points the gun at them, says, okay, you are going to give me Abby, you're going to give me this information, and if you do not, I am going to shoot you. But I will not shoot you, I promise, if you just give up Abby. The problem that arises, and is none of these characters actually give Abby up, they decide to put up a fight, and there's always this cause and effect where Ellie doesn't actually mean to brutally murder these characters, and this is best shown with Mel and Owen, but because of the situation that she keeps putting herself in, because of her desire for revenge, these people who she does not mean to kill end up getting caught in the crossfire, and it's almost like it's accidental, but there is intention behind the accident. It's hard to explain, but I think you guys get what I'm saying. When Ellie is going to find these people, she does not go in with the intention of killing them, but she ends up killing them nonetheless because she's putting herself in a dangerous situation that quickly divulges into chaos. So that is very key to understanding the character of Ellie. And this all brings her to the final few scenes of the game in which she finally has Abby in her crosshair and she has the chance to kill Abby. Abby's death, or potential death, is the only death that Ellie wants to accomplish that is truly premeditated and is only wanted to be done for the purpose of getting revenge and killing someone. The death of Nora, the death of Mel, the death of Owen, the death of Jordan are all reactions, but they're not the actual point of the scene. Killing Abby would be just that, killing Abby. There's no cause and effect, there's no reaction. It would just be cold-blooded murder for the sake of it because she wants revenge. Now, a lot of people really do not like that Ellie lets Abby go, but I think it makes perfect sense for the character, considering the fact that up until this point, Ellie has never really been someone to want to murder someone in cold blood, because she has always been a hopeful character. Throughout Game 1 and into Game 2, Ellie is this character that is always looking for the best in humanity. She's always trying to find a better way out, and I don't think she really likes doing bad things unless she really has to. Her whole purpose and role in the first game is to show Joel that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that he can restore his humanity, that humanity is worth fighting for and being present for. And in the second game, if she went through with killing Abby, she would fundamentally be no better than Abby because she would have done the exact same thing that Abby did. Abby, in my opinion, is a bad person. I'm going to tell you why. I don't think this means she can't be redeemed or that her arc isn't good. I actually really do love Abby as a character. But with that being said, the moment that Abby has a premeditated murder, has the premeditated murder of Joel, she is putting herself in a situation where she has just killed someone for the sake of killing someone. It was not a reaction. There was not a ton of, like, it wasn't a reaction. That is the most important thing about Abby's killing of Joel. It is just murder for the sake of murder because she wants to do it. And if Ellie does the same thing to Abby, Ellie effectively becomes the same person as Abby, reacting to something and then making a premeditated attempt or successful attempt at killing someone. In doing so, and not killing Abby, Ellie stays true to who she is, keeps her humanity, and that is why when we end the second game, we end it in a position of hope, where Ellie is looking to the future and looking to a better tomorrow to maybe find Dina, find her child, and live a better life than she was living previously when she was going for revenge. Now, a lot of people missed the idea that Ellie is in over her head and that she's not supposed to be a cold-hardened, bloody serial killer. And this is a flaw of The Last of Us 2. Do I like The Last of Us 2? Yes. Did I have a great experience playing it? Yes. Did I have a lot of fun? Yes. But this is a fundamentally flawed game, and the gameplay is one of my biggest criticisms of the game, because while it is super fun and really enjoyable to mess around with the mechanics and get through the levels in these really creative ways, it creates this like cognitive dissonance, what I think that's how you pronounce it, where the character thinks something about Ellie that isn't true. So when we went into The Last of Us Season 2, I've heard a lot of people giving this reaction that Ellie is supposed to be this cold-hearted murderer that's doesn't have a lot of emotion and is just doing things and getting them done, and Ellie in the TV show is super incompetent and doesn't have that bloodthirsty part about her. And while I will say Ellie from The Last of Us Season 2 is incompetent while Ellie in the game is competent, that is definitely an issue of Season 2, both Ellie in the TV show and Ellie in the game are in way over their heads. And I think The Last of Us Season 2 had made an attempt at showing that she is in over her head, but it didn't come off the right way, the same way but different the way it does in the game, where she's in over her head, but it doesn't come off the right way. And it's left this fandom in a position where I genuinely believe that, aside, not saying everyone, but generally speaking, almost everyone misunderstands the character of Ellie, misunderstands her motivation, misunderstands her role in the story and how she's supposed to act. And the worst of all, aside from the fans, is the showrunner himself, Craig Mazin, does not understand the character of Ellie. I have made a ton of videos, like probably an hour's worth of content, just talking about all of the issues that Craig Mazin has brought to The Last of Us Season 2, but the number one thing is he does not understand why and how Ellie is motivated by her grief, and how that is going to carry her forward in the rest of the story. So this fandom is in this weird spot where the creative head does not understand the main character, who really does carry a huge portion of this game, and then the fandom itself, even though this game is 4 years old and has had all this time to reflect and replay and think about the game, also doesn't understand how the character is supposed to come off and how the character truly is, because the game itself does not properly show you the way they're trying to show you who the character is and what they're about. And I have heard the rebuttal that this is all fixed if you just play it on grounded because you just can't run through people like I am right now. But that isn't true. That doesn't fix my problem, because at the end of the day, the game encourages you to play the game, mess around with the mechanics, and do all of these crazy things. So I'm sitting here now as someone who just recently beat The Last of Us 1 and The Last of Us 2 and watched Season 2 and talked about it in depth. And I'm just like, I really do feel like not that many people truly understand this character, and not a lot of people truly appreciate her for what her story is. Her story is not the story of a John Wick serial killer going through and getting revenge for her father, and if she doesn't, she's terrible. And it's also not the story of an incompetent person just wandering through life in a teen rom-com. This is a character who is competent while also being in over her head, thinking that she needs something to feel fulfilled, only to realize in the last moment that what she is thinking about doing won't solve anything. It will only make her life worse. And she chooses hope. She chooses a brighter tomorrow, even if it costs her past. And that is why I love the character so much. And this is a very different kind of video for me. I've had a lot of people tell me, you should do some more face cam videos where you're just talking and just getting your thoughts out there. But I like to have my thoughts in a whole cohesive narrative before I just speak them, because I want to be super accurate. But this is a topic that I am so passionate about that I'm willing to just put myself out and be like, hey, people are misunderstanding this, and it's super unfortunate, because Ellie is one of my favorite characters in fiction, and as of right now, both The Last of Us fandom and the head showrunner don't understand why she is so special and why she is so beloved. So with all that being said, if you like this video, please let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you thought about this video and the topic that I'm covering, and let me know if in the future you'd like to see some of these just off the top of my head face cam videos where I just yap for 10-20 minutes to you guys. Let me know if you want to see more of those, because I'm definitely more than willing to do them. And yeah, again, thank you for being at the end of this video, and hopefully catch you in the next one. Peace.